Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gabriel, and welcome once again to another Ripple and Reds. We're joining you 24 hours removed from Arsenal being dumped out of the FA Cup by Manchester United on penalties. It's going to be an absolutely torrid podcast. If it's your first time joining us, please do give the channel a subscribe. Please do give the video a like. Please do give us a comment down below what you thought of this absolutely putrid performance by Arsenal. Would love to hear your thoughts. Before we get into all of that mess and nonsense, Jace, how are you? It's Monday afternoon. Work has just finished. How the hell are you doing?
I'm preparing for the storm of the week to come. Like, United was the first game. We got to go to Spurs midweek, so we'll get into London for that. Aston Villa at the weekend. Then I'm in workshops like for the next 2 weeks solid. I've got to go into the office, which is not in London, and so it's just a storm coming my way, and I'm like want to bury my head in the sand and cry. But apart from that, all good. You know, Man United game, meh. It's United. Like, we'll talk about how crap they are. So, you know,
fair enough. I like the somewhat enthusiastic pessimism. You got to go to the game yesterday. Thank God for my own sanity that I didn't. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna start with our tradition of Rip Run review. I'm gonna hand the baton straight over to you, Jace. Don't know how hot, spicy, annoyed, frustrated, angry you're going to be with this. Let me see what you got.
I had two ways of looking at this. One is sign some effing players, because we're just, like, it's just every Arsenal fan saying it now. Like, I understand wanting to hold our powder dry and spend our money appropriately and not to flinch, but like it's so obvious we should have already pursued one, even if it's like a Trossard like signing. We've talked about it so much. It's just, I'm sure coming out the ground yesterday, everyone was talking about it. Everyone was talking about it. And it's incredibly frustrating. There's this one guy, like, I was walking, me and our friend Brett. So our friend Brett came yesterday in place of Grev. We were walking out the ground and we were just chatting about the game. And this guy kind of got involved in our conversation. We weren't necessarily welcoming it, but he got involved, and he was like, "Oh, you got to question Arteta now. You got to question Arteta," and he kept trying to like egg me into like questioning Arteta, and I was like, "It's nothing. Like, who's gonna replace Arteta? Like, I just do not want us to go down this. It's already started, like going down this kind of Arsenal fan TV kind of like behavior as a fan group, turning on the manager, want him out, and all of it. And I'm not here for that. We are going through a rough patch. I am frustrated we haven't signed a player. Don't get me wrong. I think we do. But that's also maybe not so much in Mikel's control and more in the people who are making the financial decisions in his club's control. It was Edu's responsibility. It's now the cover. What's the name? Do you know the name of the guy covering? I can't remember it. I can't remember his name. But like, that's apparent and it's obvious. Mikel can only do what he has with the players he has. And the players let him down yesterday. That's really it. The players let him down. Like, you look at the XG, we'll talk about how many chances, we'll talk about the game. The players let him down. It wasn't the other way around. Final thing, silver linings. I don't give a toss. Like, it's less games with a thin squad, and I'm all in for the league. If we can try it, Liverpool drop and Champions League. Like, I don't care about the FA Cup. I don't care about the League Cup. Like, I only care about seeing Arsenal lift a big trophy, and we might not do it this year, just to be clear. But I don't care about like not having an FA Cup run.
I had a similar conversation at work today about Arteta, and it's like, who's going to replace him? No one's available. No one could do the job that he has done. And I know we're going to get into this in the recap. I'm aligned to everything you just said, but I love your last point, because my Rip Run review is all about Context FC. In a bubble, is this a bad result? Yes. In the grand scheme of things, do I give a flying fuck if we're in the FA Cup in the long haul? No, I don't. Do I want more fixtures for this team? No, I don't. Like, did I want extra time yesterday? God, no. I would rather have just got knocked out and be done with it. Is this trophy going to do anything in terms of papering over any cracks that we've got in this team or this squad? Either the Carabao or the FA. Neither of them are necessarily on either of our radars, it seems. It's League or Champions League or bust. And at the moment, it's bust. But the context is we're second in the league. We're still in the fight for that. We're in top 3 in the Champions League. We're definitely going to go through in the top 8 and skip some games there. Is that going to be good for our fixture congestion? Yes. And so if I look at this in a worldly view, I don't care. I think the only thing that I care about in the context of this game is that it was Man United. I think that if you're looking at they're 13th in the league, it's an absolute shocking Man United squad, and I'm sure we're going to get into it. And we lost to them, and that you can't get away from that, granted. But like I say, in the grand scheme of things, do I care? No, is the answer.
I care about Jesus' injury.
Well, yeah, we're going to get on. We're going to get onto all of that, I'm sure. So let's bypass the Rip One review then, and let's go into. I wanted to do because we wanted to be a bit of a shorter podcast, I suppose, in some reflections. So we're never going to. We know that's never going to happen. Let's do a quick match recap. Let me talk about. We're going to talk about later on about luck and about chances, about XG. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the players you like to call out later on. I suppose here on in. Give me your view on this game as a whole, Jace. Give me a bit of a recap of where your head was at. What did you think? Maybe break it down a little bit between what do you see that you liked and then maybe where did it turn? Where did it all go wrong? I'm just interested in kind of a breakdown of this general game.
So, observation. It was such a similar, and this is funny, right? Because I'm now comparing Man United to Everton and Ipswich. You fucking love it, right? Because that's what it was like. We know we're a better team in Ipswich. We know we're a better team in Everton. But they play a certain way, and it was like when we played against them, we drew Everton. I think we scraped a 1-0 win at Ipswich. The United game was exactly the same. We dominate the ball. We dominate the possession. They didn't come to play football. They were just pretty much defending the whole time. They had a couple of chances. I think one was one good strike that Raya got down to. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes. Just one thing I was thinking about Bruno Fernandes. I'm just going to say this. He's wasted his career. He's his best years in Man United. And he's a world-class player. He could have been playing for Real Madrid or Barcelona or Bayern Munich or Man City. But he's at Man United. Wow, that is a waste of a career because the way he took that goal was bloody amazing. I'll tip my hat to the guy. But he's wasted his career at Man United. Anyway, back to where I was going. It was literally a very similar game to the Everton game and the Ipswich game. We had possession. We had control. We weren't really under any major scrutiny, and it was just we couldn't break the lines. We just couldn't break the lines. The only thing I would say added into that recap, though, is Odegaard was much better. His magic was switched on. He was much better performance than we've seen in the last few weeks. The problem, obviously, we know, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, is the finishing. That completely let us down. Overall, recap, it's consistency of performance from Arsenal, but the consistency is poor. And that's where we're at the moment.
Can I ask then, because while you were talking, it made me question, have we as a team become so one-dimensional now that the blueprint to how to either get a point or a point against us is to play this way? And it's for Arteta to find the tools in our squad to unlock it. Because like you say, this is a familiar pattern that every team plays deep and counters against us.
So we have the tools to unlock it. We're refusing to use, ironically, our arsenal to unlock a win for Arsenal. But no, seriously, in transition, we slow the play down. And I get that we want to control the game, but there were many transitions yesterday where Odegaard could have moved the ball quickly over to the left-hand side. We could have countered, but he stopped. He twisted, he turned around, and he played the ball back over to the right because that's what he's comfortable doing. Therefore, Man United had got back in position, and that was it. Like, it was the end of a counter-attack. Remember 2 seasons ago, you can tell I'm a bit right because I'm speaking fast. I can feel it. Sorry if you're listening to this on an audio device. Probably sounds awful. But 2 years ago, when we came out of the blocks, right, in 2 seasons, we weren't expecting to go to the league, but we were playing this fast football, this attacking, this pressing, like aggressive counter-attacking style football, a little bit like what Liverpool have been playing this season. And we were excited. And over the last 2 years, we've refined it to the point where I got bored watching Arsenal play at the top of the league. It's boring. It's rubbish. There's no excitement about it. You're just like, so play to one side, play to the other. We said this before, side to side, try and unlock a hole. We have the tools. We just aren't using them. yeah, you might say, oh, you've only got like Sterling and Havertz and Martinelli. I mean, Havertz is striker for Germany. He scored loads of goals. Sterling's a Premier League winner. Martinelli's one of the quickest players in the Premier League. We have still the tools on the pitch. They might not be our preferred starting tools, but they have that capability. Why are we not playing that way? And that's the only criticism I have of Arteta. I don't want to replace Arteta. I don't think it's anyone better than Arteta, but I want him to learn a lesson, or hope that he's recognizing in his development, maybe he's taken our style of play just a bit too far, and we need to come back a little bit to where we were.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. There's an element of, like I say, risk reward that we don't take. I'd also argue, and we we're going to get onto some of this, I'm sure, but Arteta didn't coach us to have 49 shots across those games and score 1 goal. Arteta's coaching has its faults, of course, in how he sets up, and you can see it. Like, these players are coached within an inch of their lives. They're taking the ball, and as soon as they get the ball, they know what they're supposed to do. They know they're supposed to set up in a certain way. They know they're supposed to wait till players get in position correctly. They know what, and transition is not the thing. So I agree with you that we need to approach some level of risk in our games, because we're conceding even when we're not risking. And that is a problem that needs to be somewhat got out of our game. I agree with everything you said. For my view, United were lackluster. I don't think they really have any credits for them. The only credit I give them is similar to you, Bruno. They took shots. One thing we don't do enough of is take shots, particularly shots from distance or shots outside of the box or on the 18-yard box. And they do. And, there was, like you mentioned, I think forced to say from Raya for one of them, scored another one. You're going to miss you're going to miss all the shots that you don't take. And that for us is another bit that's a bit criminal in our attack, that we don't take enough. Another point I'd say, and I've looked a bit at discourse on Twitter over the last 24 hours. I can't fathom how you can look at this game and think that the referee was on our side. I looked at this, and I think the Dalot sending off is one of many that should have happened during this game. I think, and I know you've mentioned about Bruno, I absolutely hate the fella, absolute rat. Got a yellow card for dissent, but in the same sequence of play, he did 3 separate instances against that referee, whether it was throwing his boot at them or arguing the toss. Martinelli is a player that got 2 yellow cards in the same string of play for 2 offences and got a red card for it. Never been seen again. Of course it hasn't, because it's Arsenal. But Bruno should have been sent off. I don't understand how he was still on the pitch. Ugarte should have been sent off. I know there's no VAR, and so this is the kind of price that you pay sometimes in the balance of things between having VAR and not having VAR. But for anybody that thinks that the ref was in our pocket, I think is incredibly naive, and I think you just watched an entirely different game to me, because United were dirty, bitty, and they approached this game in such a way that stifled our ability to play, particularly in the first half.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And we were counting, right? Literally looking at the big screen in the stadium, counting how many yellows United went. And me and Brett were going, someone's going. Like, there's no way this game finishes 10 men for United. One of these is going. And then the Dalot challenge. I don't know what it looks on TV. I've not actually watched a replay of it, but he just flew in. It looked like he absolutely flew in from where I was, and we were just like, he's gone. And that was.
It's one of those in the olden days that you probably would have got away with it. He was trying to get the ball, but obviously just got some of the man at the same time, and it's one of those that, could have in the olden days could have gone either way, I suppose.
Yeah.
There were things within our control. I just want to say on the recap side of things that I wouldn't get the chance to say later that has frustrated me. Why Jorginho is on the pitch for as long as he was is beyond me. I don't understand. Why Tierney has then been brought on, why he's still getting game time is still a bit like ahead of Zinchenko. Beyond me. I don't get it. But there was one ball from Tierney there that I will have to say. He delivered this ball. Oh my God. It was like Trent-esque. This ball was incredible that he delivered across the face of the goal. And had we had a good striker, that's going in. It was incredible, that ball.
I have no problem Kieran Tierney playing. He's solid. He's a great player. He just doesn't fit the style that Arteta wants. He is Mr. Reliable, Mr. Dependable. There's nothing wrong with Tierney. It's just that
unless you want him to be fit.
Yeah, and rather shop at Waitrose and Tesco. He's. I didn't have a problem with him coming on. I think I also very much read into the fact, why is he coming on versus Zinchenko? Because if you want to get rid of Tierney this window, I'm assuming he's going on a free to Celtic because that's been the thing, right? Negotiation of the contract's already started, I think, because he's because it's technically a move from Scotland to England, so you can get on and do the deal. Opposed if it was England, you wouldn't be able to. But it does make me read into is Zinchenko going this month? Are we going to try and make some money?
Our squad is so thin without removing more players. It's just, I get what you're saying. He's probably one we could get some value.
There's one position in the squad. If we're going to keep Tierney to the end of the season because he's going to Celtic on a free, then Zinchenko going and making some money for him doesn't make a difference, because how many left back is not the problem where we're thin. Let's be clear. Left back, we got ample to left back. We can play a whole back five of left backs. Like we don't need before. So that's not the problem. But I mean, the subs. I was surprised to see Sterling, but then we'll talk about that. I think he did very well. So.
Well, all right. We will get on to that. I suppose the last thing I wanted to mention, and this is like you've already said it, the patterns to our play, the recycling of our ball, the sidewaysness of how we play, it is the definition of madness. Doing the same thing again and again and again. They tell you this at work, they tell you it in life, and expecting a different result is the definition of madness. Yet we keep doing it, and it is infuriating me. And I just can't see, as a coach, as a manager, you look at it and kind of go, yeah, keep doing that. Keep going side to side to side to side and thinking it's going to matter. It is annoying.
It's almost like we're synced in our view and vision, because I said that very quote in the ground. I was like, it was just pissing off. I was like, this is the definition, like insanity is the definition of doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results, because it's like there's nothing changing here.
No.
Yeah.
Right. So I had the next gun I wanted to talk about, and I called this, is it luck? Is it something else? Because we've talked on previous pods about maybe the lack of luck that we've experienced this season, whether it comes from decisions from the referee, whether it comes from injuries, whether it comes from XG. That's probably where I was landing on some of this, because you look at the data behind this game and it is mental. Like 8 XG and scoring 1 goal is across 2 games is crazy.
Yeah.
What are you? Is that where your head's at, or do you feel that, I suppose, is the number 9 the problem?
Well, when you say is it luck, are you referring to, was it luck for United that they won, or is it luck for Arsenal that luck's just not going?
You can cut however you want, James, but in my opinion, we are experiencing a downturn in luck. If I look at my own, being the sad almost 40-year-old individual that I am, I collect Pokemon cards, and my luck of opening Pokemon cards is absolutely putrid. I wonder whether or not Arsenal's ability is we've just run out of luck, and it is as simple as that. And we're just, no matter how hard we continue to try, that element will be avoided from us. We won't be able to, and so you can only go so far. But you're right. Maybe you could look at it another way and say, Man United had the wind in their sails, the luck behind them, and that's why they went through.
I mean, I don't think were Man United lucky? It's difficult, because I can hear our Man United friends saying to us, well, no, they just defended really well and stopped us scoring. However, we had the chances to win. So maybe, and actually we had some obvious chances to win. We'll talk about Havertz. So yeah, I guess it was luck somehow, but Havertz just can't hit a barn door, and they got away with it, because, as you said, they should have had many red cards. I think at least 2 should have gone, in my opinion. And I was counting it in the ground. I mean, I've already talked about Man United. I think that it was luck for them. I don't think it was a good performance by them. They are a dire football team to watch. About Arsenal and our luck, is it run out? 2 parts to it. So luck in regards to the injuries to our right wingers, that's just really unlucky. Our luck has run out there. When it comes to finishing and creating chances and scoring goals, there's nothing about luck there. That's either you're performing or you're not performing, and we're not performing. That's the way I look at it. So a little bit of bad luck with the injuries. Completely agree. In fact, all season we've had unlucky with injuries. We've had Mourinho, as soon as he came in, he was injured. Calafiori's a long injury. Odegaard's a long injury. Now we've got Saka with a long injury. We've got no Tomiyasu out. Calafiori wasn't on the bench yesterday. I was like going through the Ranieri's injured, and he was coming in and being a replacement for Saka. Like we just having
Sterling
no
at a point when we had no Saka as well.
Yeah, so it's just we are incredibly unlucky with injuries, but the performance is still the performance, and we still had. I put the 11 that started the game against United 11. I'm still putting my money on Arsenal. Even if we play the game again today, I'm still putting my money on Arsenal.
Well, you should you look at playing that game. If we played that game 100 times and it came up with those same statistics across 2 games, Newcastle and United, we had 49 shots, we had 10 shots on target, an XG of 6 something or other. We didn't score 10 big chances. You play that game again and again and again and again, and 99 times out of 100, we're going to win that game. And that's where I'm saying the luck element is just not. It just wasn't with us. You said it earlier. Odegaard was back to his best, and you'd actually have a lot of people calling for his head during this game. He created 10 chances. It's the most of any player in the Premier League in a single game. I don't know if it's either. I got it from Opta, but it's not like we weren't creating chances, which is why I'm assuming. Let's do this then. We'll go on to real talk because there's some talk to had about certain players. It sounds like you want to talk about Havertz, and probably what my part that I alluded to here is just, with the amount of big chances that we created, and he did miss at least 2 sitters. Is there a conversation to be had about Kai Havertz?
I don't know. I don't. First of all, I think he's taken even his fiance wife has taken a hell of a lot of abuse for what I've seen. That was incredibly bad. So I don't condone what Arsenal fans, or even if they are Arsenal fans, are doing. But I just think he's having a bad run of games, and he just needs 1 goal and to find his mojo back. Kai had scored. He had the goal record, right, for the most consecutive goals scored in home games earlier on this season. He was on fire. He had a down patch. We had a lot of games. He's been very unwell. To come back in, start this game, and be expected to be on fire. Look, if this was Spurs or Aston Villa, I'd be definitely more unhappy. But it was, as we've already discussed, the silver lining is that this is 3 or 4 games less in a season that we have to bother about, and more games that our rivals have to play. So I just hope he can find the door in the next game against Spurs. And if he scores against Spurs, all is instantly forgotten in my mind. The one thing I will say, obviously Jesus injury as well. When I look at our profile of strikers, we have 2 really all-round strikers, right? You can talk about that all-round game: pressing, passing, link-up play, intelligence, vision. All of that's great. But consistency in potentness in front of goal, week in, week out, neither would you put your money on it. Like, I know I just said Havertz had a great first half of the season. He did. But you wouldn't put your money on those. You'd put your money on Isaac or Haaland, right? So that's the difference in the capability. If Liverpool didn't have Salah doing it, they'd be in the same position as us. In fact, when they were in their heyday, you had Mane and Salah complementing Firmino. So, you can get away with a Havertz in that position up front. You just have to be scoring goals from other places, but we're not right now. So it really elevates and puts his perceived flaws in the spotlight.
Yeah, I mean, the context of losing Saka cannot be understated in this scenario. I think that's partly where we're missing some element of dynamism when it comes from our front line. But let me just go into Havertz. I've been here. We've ebbed and flowed somewhat in our apology letters about where he's been, and he has been a good player for us in spells. But I think you look at the problems that are manifesting now, and it is clear and obvious, like I said earlier, with those 49 shots across 2 games, that we are missing X factor up front. I think Arteta has said that word himself after we lost to Maybe it was to Lisbon. Maybe it was to Bayern. I can't
He
remember.
said something similar against Newcastle as well in response to. He was asked. I think he was asked about.
He probably asked about Isak, I guess.
Yeah, Isak, and he basically said like, that's the difference when you have someone that's that clinical. And we basically said we don't have someone as clinical as him.
And it's fair. We don't. Yeah, and this is where, we need a shot monster. We need someone, and I don't know if you saw Sesko's goal from last night, but that he scored an absolute thunder bastard. So we need to consider moving some of our control and our ideology when it comes to player sign-ins and be a bit more risky. And I am so clear now that we were already calling for players to be signed pre this game. Let's be very, very clear. With the Saka injury, with Jesus' somewhat injury proneness, as well as Havertz, we've been calling for players to be signed. Jesus is now probably out for the rest of the season. I don't know if that's been kind of cleared up, but that was some of the rumors that was circulating around, that it was an ACL and that he's done. If we don't sign someone now, it's gross negligence, in my opinion. I can't see how you can look past the performances that we've had and not see the opportunity, whether it's Vlahovic, whether it's Osimhen, whether it's Sesko, all players that we've somewhat either admired, looked at, kept an eye on, scouted, and probably are all available as well in some way, shape, or form. You can get them. This is not Isak. This is not 150, 200 million we're talking about here. I think we need two. And so I can't understand why we would be treading on eggshells when it comes to either signing one of these players. I think one of those three is available. I think one of those three can suit us. I don't really care which one it is, but we need to sign someone. That much, to me, is clear.
Osimhen's not coming. Not profile. Profile doesn't fit the club. Not happening. We always said that. Vlahovic, again, I don't see how Juve would let their star striker leave in the middle of the window. That doesn't feel likely to me. Who's the other one you said? Sesko?
Yeah.
Well, he just...
There's no doubt we're going to try and go for Sesko in the summer. Okay, I genuinely think that's probably the plan.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I don't see any of the options you shared there probably realistic. What is realistic is Mbeumo has 18 months left to run on his contract. Go to Brentford. Go now. Straight to Brentford. Just, I'll walk there. It's only an hour down the road. I'll go get him for you. Just give me the money. I'll go do it. I don't care. I suppose
the point I'm trying to make is that I get what you're saying, and whether or not those three that I mentioned are palatable, attainable, available, I suppose let's leave that somewhat at the door. And I'm sure the club are looking at options and doing stuff, but we're already on the 13th of January. There's not a lot of time left. We got a heap of games coming up. What are you doing?
It's too late.
It's
too late because the hardest games of this January, what we needed players for, and we really do now because we've got no Jesus and no Saka, was this little run in now. This little run in between Newcastle and the Champions League game, the other side of Aston Villa. That run in, we needed players fit and ready, and as soon as we saw one injury coming, I don't understand why we didn't act at the first injury. We just left it and we're trying to push through. And we just depleted all of our resources. And now we're halfway through this run-in with must-win games. Like United, as I said, I don't care about Tottenham and Villa. You don't take 4 points. Even a draw against either of them. Title, in my opinion, is gone if Liverpool win their game in hand. It's not a fucking joke.
The discourse, you've witnessed the discourse after the United game, and I get it. The vitriol, the anger, warranted and needed, but in the grand scheme of things, nothing, right? If this happens on Wednesday, woo, it is going to be something different.
Yeah, that's the thing. Wednesday is a must-win game, and Arteta must know it, the players must know it. I just feel the thing is, everyone knows it, and so part of my hope, because we talk about the ground, right? I didn't go to Newcastle because of work. You weren't able to go at the weekend, so we both went to a game each, right? Mood in the ground for United. It was just it wasn't the same as. It's not been the same for a while. As the football's got more drab, the ground's got more quiet, and I don't know if it's the same against Newcastle.
Yeah, it was, but the fans are G'd up by performances. It is natural that fans will be apathetic towards our performances when they are as one-dimensional as they've been. They are connected. You can talk a little bit about the removal of the Ashburton Army and the reduction. You can talk a lot about in both Newcastle and Man United's games. I'm sure it's the same. Newcastle had the bottom section, the way our away sections are sorted.
Yeah,
it creates a really good atmosphere for the away clubs. Like those Newcastle fans were amazing, and big credit to them when we played them. I'm sure Man United was quite similar. It was just they have such a small area for them with 7,000 people that can generate noise, singing, and activity that we simply can't across 60,000 fans.
Yeah, the only praying hope is it's North London derby. It's going to be feisty, it's going to be fierce, and it's going to be loud. And I think that the players need to do something to get the fans up, but the fans in this game also need to do something to get the players up. And I think
the AA are doing another march down the same one that we did when we played. Was it Man United before?
United at home, the league.
Yeah. Set piece again, LA. How long ago does that feel now? So yeah, I know it's mad. Look, talk to me. Is there any other? Maybe I just wanted to make a point to kind of say, I kind of look back in context now of our summer business, and I'm like, all of our chickens are coming home to roost now, because you look at our business: Calafiori, Neto, Sterling, and Marino. With the exception maybe of Calafiori, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's got time on his side and he has been somewhat in and out of the side. The other three, I don't have the time for. You mentioned Sterling earlier and you said he had a good game.
He did have a good game.
All right, we can talk. Maybe we can agree to disagree here. There was some. I'll give you some. There was one shot that went out for a throw in. Can't believe it. There was one where he had the option to pass it and cut it back. Decided to take a shot. He's so desperate to score. I feel that it became blinkered in his approach. He was so greedy that he was so desperate that any other options around him became futile, in my opinion. And I just don't feel he was that good.
What I saw was someone willing to run at the defense, get them on the back foot, go direct, cut in like Saka used to do, and try and get a shot away. Yeah, okay, he wasn't successful, but we have no one else in our squad that's doing that. And so I thought he had a good game. Yeah, okay, he didn't get the end product, but if he keeps doing that in the next few games, obviously end product has to cut a mouse. Yeah, he's not very good, and he's lost it. But that was the most encouraging sign I saw. That was the most encouraging sign I saw.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I would say as well, that the commentary made a point of this. Did you know that Raheem Sterling has never scored against Manchester United?
Has he scored against Tottenham?
Let's bloody hope so.
Let me check that. Everyone scored against Tottenham. It's fine. He probably has. It's fine.
Well, this is my annoyance here, that we talk about Man United. We talk about how bad they were, 13th in the league. We still got beat by them. Tottenham scraped a victory against Tamworth in the FA Cup on an AstroTurf pitch in extra time, right? Let us not. I don't want to tempt fate here by any means. Just if like I say, honestly, the discourse, if this goes the wrong way on Wednesday, is going to be absolutely incredible. And it's going to be so Arsenal for us to put in a performance against this team and win a game and put us back in contention and make all the noise quiet down. It could also be very Arsenal that it goes the opposite way. I don't know if you're looking forward to Wednesday at all, or put any thoughts and feelings towards what you think about that game, considering where we've been in the last two games.
I don't really feel ever negative in a North London derby at home. In the last few years, there's always been good vibes and it's exciting. I think we know we have to perform. And so I do think we'll come out of the blocks hot. And I think that we'll get a good, at least the first half. I mean, it might be, depending if Spurs get a goal or not, it could be quite on edge in the second half, but we'll definitely get a very good first half in order to see how the game goes. What I can see probably more likely happening is we beat Spurs, we get the energy back, and then we absolutely flop against Aston Villa. And Ollie just comes and breaks my heart again, as always.
Yeah, well, we got 48 hours to collect our thoughts and get ready for that. Is there, I suppose, like I mentioned Marino, I've mentioned, is there anybody before we close out, anybody that you want to mention that we didn't get the chance to kind of talk through in maybe that overall performance?
Calafiori injured again.
I read somewhere to kind of say that, we could be looking at no Timber, no Calafiori for the North London derby, which is certainly a worry. Because out of everybody that did play, I would say that Timber and MLS again were the only two, and Rice. I think actually Rice had a good game when he came on. I don't understand why he didn't start or why he didn't come on earlier. I think out of those players, those two were great. If we're missing Timber, then we've got problems.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I think so. I just reflecting on when you said like the summer window, Marino, no, Sterling, no, Neto, obviously, just he's never going to play for us. The Calafiori one is like, I'll give him a bit. I'm like, oh, he cost us like what, 50 million quid? He's like injured, plays injured, plays injured, plays injured.
Yeah. I get the injury record is somewhat the difficult one, but I will say this: 50 million in today's money is nothing. It's nothing.
Well, then if there's nothing, why aren't we signed a winger already?
I'm not on the ball. I don't know, but like I say, there's a lot of talk about Chelsea spending $1 billion and Arsenal spent 700 million. How much does that really get you? I know I'm probably being somewhat blinded by the red tinted glasses in the Arsenal context, but like it's just the money is just incredible.
Nicholas Pepe and Anthony.
Do you want another one of them? That's why you got to spend more money to get better players. You got to spend more.
Yeah, that's why it's Anthony 100 million, lol. Mudryk 100 million, very funny, great. So now we've got to spend 100. It's not 100 million, it's 150 million.
And that's why that cost you 250 million, Jace.
Yeah. If you spend 150 million, Greg, doesn't matter what the player, it's guaranteed to work. Guaranteed to work.
I'm still under the impression that I think I could work as a number 9 for Arsenal up front. Just being honest, I reckon I could have scored those goals yesterday.
Yeah, I reckon I could have scored those goals as well.
Right, that'll do for a somewhat vented, angered, and blinkered Arsenal podcast. If you made it this far, we congratulate you, and we thank you for your participation and audience during this podcast. If you do like it, please do give the video a like. Please do subscribe to the channel. Please do leave a comment down below what you thought of this Arsenal performance. Jace, podcast provider of choices, what do we want our audiences to do there?
Yeah, make sure you subscribe, gets the latest episode in your feed for the moment we publish it. Give us a star rating, 5 stars, no less, please. Subscribe, cries, leave us a review, and engage if you enjoy.
Thank you very much, and we will join you later on this week, hopefully after Arsenal has smashed Tottenham in the North London derby. So we'll see you later on this week.
Cheers, guys.